भुनक्तु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम वेदांत मंत्र नंबर 6। वेदांत विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थाः संन्यास योगाद्यतयः शुद्ध सत्वाः। वेदांत विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थाः संन्यास योगाद्यतयः शुद्ध सत्वाः। ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु परान्तकाले ते यथा परामृताः परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे। ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु परान्तकाले परामृताः परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे। वेदांत विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थाः संन्यास योगात् यतः शुद्ध सत्वाः। शुद्ध सत्वाः वेद संन्यास योगात् यतयः वेदांत विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थाः भवन्ति। वेदांत विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थाः भवन्ति। They know, or they know the very well ascertained meaning of the Vedanta. They own up the meaning of Vedanta. Meaning means Tatparya. Artha is in the sense of essence. They own up the essence of Vedanta. Who are they? Shuddha Sattvaha, those who have pure mind. Then they are Yatayaha, striving. In that sense, everybody is striving. Even a person pursuing a crime is also striving. He is effortlessly striving. The one who is successful, dawn. So, what kind of striving? Therefore, says sannyasa yoga yatayaha. So, they are yatnashilaha, but they are striving for knowledge. In fact, one has to strive all the way. Because, as Yamaraja says, paranchikhani vetrunat swayambhuhu tasmat parang pashyati nantaratmat. The sense organ by nature are extrovert. There is a general tendency from childhood to go after the Vishayas. From there is a natural tendency to compromise dharma. There is no tendency, but there is a pressure to compromise. Because of the pressure is there because of karma, because of strong desire, because of strong want. And therefore, there is a yatna. One needs to put in effort to say no, big no to oneself. When mind wants some shortcut, when mind is compromising some values or some kartavya, some duty, then I say no. That is yatna. And I push myself to what is to be done. That is also yatna. To maintain this attitude of karma yoga, to live or to perform action in the awareness of Ishvara, that is also yatna shilatva. And to pursue vairagya, to strengthen vairagya, to own up vairagya and take to life of sannyasa is also efforts. And ultimately live a life of a sannyasi. Total commitment to pursuit of knowledge at the cost of everything else, at the exclusion of everything else. I just want knowledge, nothing else that I want. That kind of attitude, that kind of commitment is yatna shila. So what happens to them? And Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha. Vedanta is a Shabda Pramanam. And then it becomes a Shabda Pramanam works only when you have studied Vedanta. Shastra Vichara Kartavya. How? Guru Mukhat. From a teacher. You studied Vedanta from a competent teacher, addressed all the doubts and the errors. Doubts raised by yourself and doubts raised by other school of thought or other people. Samshaya nivrittihi needs to be taken place, and then habitual error or emotional issues, unconscious issues needs to be addressed, and therefore Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha. Very well, a certain knowledge. You can call it in the jargon of Gita ji as the one who is a sthita prajna, who is clear about who am I, and there is no error or no doubt about it. That is called Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha. What happens to them? He says, Parimuchanti sarve. They are released. Okay? They become free. Muchanti also is free. Parimuchanti is totally free. Okay? One can be released from a given body. In fact, every person who commits suicide is seeking a release only from a given body or a given situation. And you can say, I'm released from samsara dukkha. Yes, you can be, for some time, going to heaven, going to some divya lokas. There, the time scale is totally different. 100 years of human life is equal to 1 day, and 100 years of human life is equal to 1 night. So 200 years is equal to 1 day in heaven. So if you go to heaven for 200 years, you have a visa, 6-month visa, 200 years visa. That is only just 1 day. By the time you know you are in heaven, you are thrown out. That's it. So this is release is there from dukkha, temporary release. So many people addicted to drugs, they also have a release from dukkha. Fellow took some drugs. As they saw, there is a song in Hindi, our times. Dam maro dam, mit jaye gam. You have that decoction, addiction, some drugs, mit jaye gam. You are relieved from any sorrow. That is muchyante. What is parimuchyante? Totally free. No temporary release. Even a long-term release is also a temporary release. Going to heaven, you may say, I went to heaven for a long time. But that's okay. It's long is also relative. When I say releasing from the parimuchanti, paritaha sarvata, absolute freedom, that is called they. Who get absolute freedom? Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartha. Look at this. If you accept the Shruti as a Pramana, then Shruti is very clear. Only and only through well-ascertained meaning of Vedanta, you get moksha. Going to some loka or having some experience or having some vision, nothing gives moksha. This gives moksha. Parimuchanti janaha. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitarthaha janaha parimuchanti. They get released permanently. If there is a permanent freedom, it has to be me. There cannot be freedom which is permanent and at the same time achieved at time t1. If you say, I got permanent freedom at the time t1, that means it is within time. And any freedom achieved in time t1, one day will perish, or one day you will lose that freedom at time t2. The span of the time between the time t1 and time t2 maybe millions of years, but it is again limited. It cannot be infinite for a simple reason. You cannot produce infinity. If there is infinity, it has to be there. So when there is a permanent freedom from dukkha, when there is a permanent freedom from sense of limitations, when there is a permanent freedom from being unhappy, incomplete, that has to be already there. You cannot achieve in time t1. And if it is already there, that means it has to be my nature. It is me. Nityamuktosi. I am ever liberated. I am ever free from dukkham. I am ever free from any kind of sense of limitations. Even though I may think so, I am limited. You may think so. But then you are not limited. Okay? You are free. The so-called limitations and are only imagined, are only adhyasika, superimposed, not real. They are incidental. That's a nice word. Incidental for mithya. They are mithya. Mithya means incidental. That is to call a gold a chain. Chain, the name given to gold, a chain, is incidental. That is mithya. Chain is mithya. There is no real chain. It's only a form, given a name. It's a round shape. So you call it a chain. But so many round things we wear with a different names. Earrings and nose rings and all kinds of things. Most of them are round. You know what they wear on the body. The ring is round, everything is round. Because to tell you that everything is round, Purnamada Purnamada. Ultimately, I guess it must be that logic. Why? Unless some fellow in US starts a new design, wearing square, and then it becomes a hot thing, then it may go on. But it is all round. So the chain is a name given to gold, which is incidental. That status of gold being chain is not absolute. It's incidental. Gold happens to be in this shape, so we call it chain. You break it and make two bangles, the different size and different shape. So, mithya means incidental. The sense that I am bound is incidental. I happen to be within this body. I happen to be as though, not within, as though conditioned by this body, and therefore I feel limited. It's just a feeling, not, and that's a feeling born out of self-ignorance. And that is incidental thing caused by this upadhi, incidental thing, therefore we call them upadhi. By just being there, it gives an impact of that other thing being different than what it is. The flower being just beside the crystal gives an impression that the crystal is red, whereas crystal is not red. It is the flower that happens to be red, and it gives that. It's an incidental thing. So also, the limitations or bondage is incidental. And discovering this fact itself is moksha. Because I am nitya mukta. They are parimuchyanti. How and where? Where do they get released? How do they get released? Who gets released was told. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischidartha. How did they become? Yatayaha. What kind of yatnashilaha? Sannyasa yogeshu yatnashilaha. How did they commit to sannyasa yoga? Vishuddha sattvaha, Suddha sattvaha. Then they become released. How? Paramrutaha santaha. They become paramrutaha and parantakale. That time. Parantakale. The ultimate end time, the translation they make it. It is not parantaka, ultimate time, but we'll see what it is. Okay. Paramrutaha. Not being separate from Brahman, discovering themselves to be immortal, timeless, deathless, birthless Brahman, to be Brahman. They are Parantakale Brahmalokeshu Parimuchyati. This is a prose order. See, again I start from 1. Vishuddha Sattvaha Sannyasa Yoginaha Yatayaha Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitarthaha Santaha. When you ascertain or own up the meaning of Vedanta, you discover Paramrutaha. You discover yourself as Paramrutaha, immortal, limitless Brahman. I discover myself to be that. And that discovery takes you to what? Takes you to freedom. What kind of freedom? Takes you to absolute freedom. Parimuchyanti, you get released for good when parantakale. That is important. Parantakale. Then, if you just literally translate parantakalaha, this in class much. Parantakala, if you translate, that means ultimate end time. There is no ultimate. In a way, good ultimate end time. What is it? Antakalaha. Antakala means death. Death is called Antakalaha. Now, in case of an ignorant person, what is death? Death is separation of Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira by Ahankara. Ahankara separates Sukshma Sharira from Sthula Sharira and carries away the Sukshma Sharira to some new Sthula Sharira. So that is nothing but transformation or a transfer, you can say. The Jivatma gets himself transferred from one body to another body. And when Jivatma, that individual, that Karta, that Bhokta, is Ahankara. When he transfers itself because of Karma Phala, he takes Sukshma Sharira. So when new birth takes place, Jivatma comes along with Sukshma Sharira, and when the death takes place, Jivatma goes along with the Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira is there, and suitable Sukshma Sharira to that given yoni is given to the Jivatma, and he starts interacting with the world. We have seen long ago what is Sukshma Sharira. Saptadasha kalabhihi yastishtati tat Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira consists of 17 things, 17 components. What are they? Pancha Gnanendriyani, 5 senses of perception. Pancha Karmendriyani, 5 senses of action. Pancha Pranaha, 5 prana, pranapana, vyana, udana, samana. And Manaschaika, Buddhishchaika, evam saptadashakala. Mind and intellect. These 17 components comprise the Sukshma Sharira. What is the purpose of Sukshma Sharira? That also we had seen. Sukha, Dukkha, Bhoga, Sadhanam. It is a means for Jivatma to exhaust karma phalas. It is a means for Jivatma to enjoy Sukha Dukkha, to experience Sukha Dukkha, the karma phalas. You certainly need sense organs. You certainly need prana, and you certainly need antakaranam to know the world, to relate to the world. And relation or relating to the world only gives rise to varieties of Sukha Dukkhas. This Jivatma goes through these different Sukha Dukkhas, and for that it requires a Sukshma Sharira, and Sthula Sharira is an abode for Sukshma Sharira to reside, but along with Jivatma. So in case of an ignorant person, when you say death, it's only and only of Sthula Sharira. The fellow dies, means Sthula Sharira becomes insentient. And all the Pancha Mahabhutas, the Sthula Sharira comprises of Panchika, the Pancha Mahabhutas. They just get dissolved back into Samashti Bhutas. They get modified in this form. Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal and Prithvi. All these Pancha Mahabhutas are modified. Anna rasenaiva bhutva. Anna rasenaiva jivanti. Anna rasam means all Pancha Mahabhutas have undergone some modifications to have this form and sustain this form till there is a prarabdha. So, when a person dies, whether you burn or not, Pancha Mahabhutas goes back to all Samashti Pancha Mahabhuta. It is like an iceberg in an ocean, melting it out. It merges into the ocean. It was only water, but appeared to be in this form because of cold, you can see. Here the karma phala makes this body, this shape, this color, this size, etc., etc. And once the prarabdha is over, then this fellow's Pancha Mahabhutas go back to Samashti. First thing to go, listen this, it is easy to understand with this example. What is the first thing that merges to total, you know? That is Agni. This body has a different temperature. Outside is a different temperature. So Agni Devata is here in this body at certain level. And because of this temperature only, this shape is there. Because of the Agni is a form, first form. Vayu doesn't have a form, Akash doesn't have a form, Agni has a form. Akash has sound, Vayu has a touch, Agni has a form. This form is because of Agni. And the person dies, Agni Devata merges into Samashti Agni, and slowly body maintains You can say outside temperature. It gets back. Then Akasha goes, and Vayu goes, and everything keeps going one by one. The last thing to go back and merge to total is Earth, Prithvi Amsha. Because to make it 60, 70, 80 kilo, it took some 20, 30 years, from 2.5 kg to 3 kg to fellow went on. And some people are so blessed, have a good job and good work and they have good tongue. So they're Madhya Pradesh, Midwest in American Jharkhand. This Midwest keeps on expanding for another 5 years. So the fellow has grown to this much in 30, 40 years. So it takes some time to dissolve back into total earth. This goes. Sukshma Sharira, listen, what happens then? In case of wise person, this instrument, this means of experiencing Sukha Dukkha was held because the Jivatma wanted to experience. Now, Jivatma not being there anymore, there is nobody who wants to travel. Ahankara was a traveler. There is nobody wanting to travel or pushed to travel. So Sukshma Sharira also dissolves. All Sukshma the Sukshma Sharira that is made of Sukshma Pancha Mahabhuta, it gets dissolved into Samasti Mahabhutas. So Paranta Kala is ultimate end of traveler. Means end of Sukshma Sharira as well. Paranta Kala, where Sukshma Sharira merges into Sukshma Sharira, into Samasti Pancha Mahabhutas. Paranta Kale, Paramrutaha. Okay. Parimuchanti. They get released. Where? Brahma Lokeshu Parimuchanti. When you say Loka, it doesn't mean a feel some Loka above, up above. Not a field of experience. We are not, the Jiva doesn't get moksha having gone. Why? They say, such and such a devotee went to such and such a loka, Goloka and Saket Loka, Bhagavan ke dham mein chale gaye और वहां मुक्त हो गए. Having gone to Bhagavad Dhama, he became free. I am telling you are free right now here. Where is the question of going? There is no going involved. That freedom gained by going is always relative. As long as you are there in this loka, and as long as the situation is favorable, you remain free. But not necessarily that you will be permanently free. even there's a sarupya mukti, samipya mukti. You get closer to Bhagavan and you become one like Bhagavan. They say Jai Vijaya, those gatekeepers. You cannot call it gatekeeper, personal secretaries, personal secretary of Bhagavan Vishnu. They look like Narayan. They had all the power like Narayan, What happened? They were free. Yes, they were free. How long? Once Lakshmi ji came and they had it, they had the audacity to deny entry to Lakshmi ji. Situation changed and their moksha disappeared. So they had to come back. So nothing can be permanent if it is gained by going to a loka. Please understand. You cannot gain moksha. Moksha means freedom, total freedom, by going to this. So it is not a place. Brahman itself is Brahman. Lokyate anubhuyate. That which is experienced all the time. That Brahman which is consciousness, which is I. And all other experiences are possible because you see, you know that I. Brahman is self-revealing, self-existent I. Therefore, we call it loka. I know that I am all the time. And therefore, Brahma Lokeshu means Brahman itself is a loka. They became free. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitarthaha Sannyasa Yogat Yatah Shuddha Sattvaha. Te Brahma Lokeshu Paranta. What that means? Before that they were not free? No. Before that also free. Therefore it is said, Vimuktasya Vimuchyate. One who was free became free. Then why you have to say he was free and then again became free? What kind of limitations? See, when you say again became free, that means there were some limitations. Otherwise, you should not say was free and became free. You cannot say Swamiji was free in the ashram and in the morning he could go to temple, he again became free. I am already free in my ashram. I have all the freedom. How do you say? Yes, there are limitations which are incidental, which are there, apparent, you can say. Apparent limitations are there. The wise person, in a way, is different from Ishvara. From Upadhi standpoint, from physio-psycho-complex point of view, I am away. I am different from Ishvara. This is not me, Ishvara. Yes, this body is limited. This mind is limited. Upadhi-wise, they are different. But from the point of that Upadhi limitations, which is not me, I am not Upadhi. I am not physio-psycho-complex. And so Anatma caused limitations. The wise person had to accept those Anatma caused limitations as long as he or she wills the body. And the body is willed by him or her as long as there is a prarabdha. So prarabdha kshaya takes place. Then only you can be free from that upadhi caused limitations. So parimuchanti, punaha they get free because there were limitations. From the onlooker's point of view, they were real. From his or her personal point of view, he or she knew it is only apparent. Exactly like in a movie, suppose actor is undergoing through a tragedy in his life, the fellow is suffering and he expresses his suffering. The actor is expressing his agony, his pain, his helplessness, his stress, etc. An audience might get carried away. Some people start crying also in the audience, listening to that act. But then, so there is a limitations from the onlooker's point of view. They think actor has these limitations. Suppose he or she becomes pauper. So there is a limitations of money, limitations of resources. But that is there. They think so. But from the standpoint of actor himself, he knows these limitations are incident. These limitations are mithya. They are not real to me. Since I am wearing this dress, since I am playing this role, I have to have this. But otherwise, I am completely free from it. And when that actor gives up the role, he sheds the role in the green room, wears his clothes, then you can say he was free, again became free. Again became free is apparent. He doesn't become again. But therefore, freedom was there. Onlooker's point of view, he looked at the fellow, looked to be bound, but then from his point of view, he discovers that there was no bondage. It was only incidental bondage and apparent bondage, and then dress is given up. That apparent bondage is also not there. The sharira is also dress. You know this shloka? Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grunnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. So this sharira also is a dress which is there. As long as the prarabdha is there, sharira is there. There are incidental limitations, apparent limitations. When the person dies, that apparent limitations also are no more there. That person has that freedom, and therefore it is said, he was free and he becomes free. It is only, and then merging, they say, no, individual merges with the total. Individual becomes one with the total. They can make like statements they make. That is okay. But this also needs to be understood. Becoming one with the total, never they show, I remember in my childhood having seen the movies of Mirabai and Tulsidas and the great devotees of Bhagavan in India who were known. There were movies on them. And when they died, they show in the end Narayana is there, standing with Chaturbhuja Narayana, and slowly Mira goes there, and inside she disappears into the body. So the Brahma Lokesh, that means Mira got merged into Narayana. And this is Jiva, they say this. Jiva is separated from Shiva. What separated? How do you say? Mamayvamso Jiva. Okay. Another thing. Jiva is just a fraction of the total who is separated. To separate the Jiva, you should have a space where Ishvara is not. Then only you can separate something from him. If there is no space, how are you going to separate? It is like I eat some food and the digested food has been transferred. I mean, the content has been transferred to my other parts of the body. You cannot say this food is separated. It is there within. The merging with the total happens only when you are away from it. The very space is from Ishvara. Just as you create space in your dream world, you appear to be within the space, but the space is within. Individual consciousness, as they say, appear to be within the space. It is not there. The space is in your consciousness. You, the consciousness, not your. The space is in this. In fact, the very consciousness itself appears as a space. Tasmad va etasmad atmanah akashasambhudah akashad vayu vayo ragni agne rapah adbhyah prithvi prithivya moshadayah oshadhibhyonnam annat purushah Sava esha purusho annara samayah tenaisha purnaha. The space, the same consciousness appears itself to be the space. You cannot merge. Merging is possible only when you are aware. And what kind of merging? Simple. One example will explain. The Ghatakasha, merging in Mahakasha. The pot space gets merged into total space. When it was away, it was never away. There is no question of merging. It was only apparent division, incidental division caused by walls of the pot, not otherwise. So though we call it a pot space, it is space, and we call it a 5-liter space, it is space. The 5-literness of the 5-liter space is from the standpoint of view of the pot. This is 50-liter pot space. This is 50-liter space. The 50-literness of the space is incidental, is because of that pot or vastu in which it is, as though there is apparent existence within. Otherwise, there is no 50-literness or 5-literness in space. Space is nirgunam. Where is the 5-literness or 10-literness? You cannot make it. So, the pot space merging into total space means discovering the fact that I was never away from the total space, or discovering the fact I am not there. So-called pot space is not there. Reality is only space. The pot space is from potness. Then the potness of the space, when you say pot space, the potness of the space is caused by the pot. And pot doesn't create any intrinsic change in the space. Space remains space as it is. But still we call it 5-liter pot space. That 5-literness and potness to the space is just incident. It is not real. So merging is also not. If you are really away, then real merging is possible. But you are never ever away, and so merging is also never ever done. No? So individual merging into total is a figurative use. The pot space got merged into total space. When it was away, it was never away. Understand? So you cannot have Brahmaloka, literally, where these wise people get moksha. Brahma eva lokaha tatraiva vimuktaha. And this is called Videha Mukti. Having given up the body, he gains freedom. And this fellow, now I had started yesterday with a question. Do the wise people come again to save the world and save the devotees? Bhaktas, to bless bhaktas. Or wise person came in my dream and gave me knowledge. So my Guruji is here with me. That's okay. There is some sense in it. But then to say wise people are born again is an insult to the wisdom. What is wisdom? Na jayate na mriyate. Discovering the fact that I am birthless, deathless. That person who has discovered himself to be birthless, deathless, there is a question of birth. There cannot be birth because ahankara itself is not one who is subject to birth and death. It got killed as though in the wake of knowledge, and therefore there is no rebirth. There is no karma phalas left for them. Because when moment the knowledge takes place, all sanchitas get destroyed. The karma phalas waiting for fructification, waiting for fruition, and therefore give that sukha dukkha to this jivatma. They are no more there because their locus for the sanchita was ahankara. The ahankara itself is falsified. The ahankara itself is discovered to be incidental, not real. And therefore there is no karma phala for me. I took myself to be ahankara, therefore I had a karma phala. I discover I am not physio-psycho-complex. And it is they that work and I don't work at all. Naiva kinchit karomiti. I don't do anything. That discovery being there, that wisdom being there, there is no karma phala left for wise person, even if he or she wants to take body. No, Swamiji, not his karma phala. But Bhagavan gave a special karma phala. He Bhagavan has, as though Bhagavan has karma phalas. And Bhagavan can meddle with somebody's karma phala. He cannot transfer your punya and papa to someone else. If he can really transfer, there will be a big queue from tomorrow. My papa, please transfer. It is like this, when dead body was being carried for smashana. And there were so many people behind. And then one gentleman thought, I have not read in the newspaper some celebrity or some leader has died, and who is this fellow? Why so many are behind him? He said, who is the first one? Traditionally, the husband will go first with the charcoal to burn that body. So husband is there, and he heard that means his wife died. Yes, his wife died. What was she? Was she some minister or some actor or what? So many people. She was just a homemaker, he said. Really? Her husband is a celebrity. So the people come to oblige him and all. No. He is just a middle class, simple working man. Then why all these people are falling? And how did she die? They said they have a dog and dog bit her and she died. Oh, and why so many people are going? All of them are going behind to request the husband, can you lend the dog for us for a day? So we can get released from it. That is not Brahmaloke Suparanta Kale. This statement, they go to Brahmaloka and then they are there waiting for Janma, and Bhagavan gives somebody's karma phala. Listen, there is nothing wrong in worshipping or praying or seeking blessings of a guru, even if he is dead, he or she. But to say that he will come back, that means he is not mukta. He is not free. Ahankara is not there. No possibility of coming back. And this also indicates one more thing, that one should have a live guru. You cannot say, Guru comes in my dream and teaches. Unless there is a desert of thinking, there is no gray matter. There is a desert thinking. Therefore, not only Guru Bhagavan can come and tell you the dream, and the fellows believe. And there's a Asmani Kitab, as the book has come from heaven. What heaven? It has come from the sky. It is sky, because sky is a space. It is a spacious book. It's a lot of space inside. It needs a lot of thinking. I really am. Look at this. How much people invest in religion. How much they invest themselves in God is so, just a little thinking is required. Now, I had told this in G8 Summit. They didn't like all of them. I said, we are talking of human freedom nowadays. And America has passed a law that you can attack a country, if there is a human rights are under jeopardy. So then you value these human rights, human freedom so much. It has gone to the extent of saying that you can marry to the same sex also. Formally, you may have, this is how the change has taken place. When Indians went abroad, they used to tell their children, no, even if you are in America, you have to marry the girl. To the boy, they will say, to marry the girl who is only from our caste. And then our subcaste. Then they said our caste. Then further lenient. If they are Brahmana, you should marry only Brahmin. Kshatriya, you should marry only Kshatriya. If a Vaishya, you should marry only Vaishya. Then slowly a further concession was given. You may marry, but marry a Hindu girl, okay? Or marry a Gujarati if they are Gujarati, if Maharashtra, and in between that came, and then Hindu. Now we have to tell to the boy, please marry a girl, not a boy. That's the human freedom that has gone. It may be psychological disease. I agree with that. I am aware of that. It may be some problem. But the point is, we respect this freedom. My point is this. Humanity respects that. You have your choice. You respect freedom to wear the clothes. You have freedom to eat whatever you want to eat. Every court of law across the world gives that freedom. Once you are major, you have all the freedom. But these fellows, that Asmani Kitab fellows, that space-filled Kitab fellows, they tell, no, you have no freedom to believe. You must believe in our God only. And if you don't believe in our God, we have right to kill you. What is this? Simple, senseless thing. But so much of emotional investment that is so true for them. And so many things written in that book, and most of the things came in a dream. No, that cannot. Guru, if it is there, it has to be live. Guru has to teach, and teaching can happen only when the Guru is live. It is not sermons that a Guru has to give. By giving sermons, no knowledge takes place. For the knowledge to take place, Guru needs to teach. And only a live Guru can teach. And therefore, neither Jivan Muktas come back, they are reborn for Loka Kalyana, nor for they come back again to the chosen Shishyas. They come in the dream or come across and give them Upadesha. That doesn't work. Okay? So, Paramrutaha Brahmalokeshu Mucyanti Sarve. There is one Vakya. What is a mukti? He says, Shankaracharya quotes these two mantras, shlokas and mantra. Shakuninam iva akashe jale varicharasya padam yathana drishyet tatha gnanavatam. What is the movement of a wise person? They say he went to that loka, yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Where is he going and how is he going and what is the path of going? Very beautiful example is given in the Shastra. Just as when the birds fly away in the sky, you don't see the footsteps. There is no path. There is no path, full stop. And just as an aquatic animal moves and swims in the water, there is no path. So there is no path for a wise person which he walks through or which he goes through. It is no going anywhere. Anadvagasu, anadvagaha, advasu paraishnaha. There are so many vakyas like that. Any going is what? Desha parichinnaha. Hi gatihi. Any gati, any movement is limited in terms of space. Wherever you go, that thing has to be limited. And your staying and going also is limited in terms of time. And that being the case, it is samsara vishaya eva. That gati will bring back you to samsara. That gati will keep you to the cycle of birth and death again. But why? And that gati is attained through parichinna sadhana sadhyatva. You gain that. Sadhya, you achieve that through limited means. Means being limited, its effect or its phalam or result also is going to be limited. So, there is no gati. Why? Brahmatu samastatva. Brahman is everything. Therefore, desha parichedena nagantavyam. There is no going in terms of space. There is no going from one place to another place. And that is why it is said, this gati is also figurative. Okay? This gati is incidental, not real gati. They Brahma Lokesh, having gone there, yat gatvana nivartati. That going is incidental. The Parandakale Brahmalokeshu, in Brahmaloka they gain moksha, is also incident. Okay. Now the next mantra, I think we'll take it up on next Saturday. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.